Hi everybody, welcome to today's video. I was trying to film on the beach, but I ended up with guests, so I had to move. So now I'm walking along the beach. This intro is going to be super short. That's hubby behind there. I was also trying to do a flat lay of the scallops and the lilac crop top, but like I said, guests. Someone ruined my moment. I will insert a clip of me wearing it in the mirror. I'm getting soaked right now. Literally almost fell down. So, like I was saying, today's video is a Sybil hack. It is actually a 1 yard wonder hack. Both skirts that I'm sharing today, I used 1 yard of fabric. One is the one with the scallops from the salt whistle, and the other one is the tie slit hack. I will put up the inspiration photo for the tie slit hack so you could see what I was trying to recreate, and of course let me know how I did. I have to say I think I absolutely nailed it. I love how that outfit came together, and this scallop one turned out really cute as well. So I guess now we can get on with the tutorial. Welcome back to my sewing table. So today we'll be working on the Sybil skirt, and as you can see I only have one pattern piece because I only need one pattern piece for both the front and back of the Sybil pencil skirt, which I just absolutely love a one-piece pattern. By now you've heard me speak about the Sybil skirt so many times on my channel because it is my absolute favorite go-to tried and true knit skirt pattern. It has 7 different styles, which I'm not sure I've ever come across a skirt pattern with 7 different styles in one. I will put all of these styles on the screen, but for today's inspiration look, we will be using the pencil skirt. So this is what the pencil skirt looks like. This is size large, graded to extra large at the hip, and mine is shortened 1 inch. So as you can tell from the inspiration photo, we have an outer skirt and an inner skirt sort of, but I'm only going to add the extra layer on the front of the skirt, not the back. Another thing I want to mention is that I do a cheetah's full seat adjustment on all of my skirts. I simply curve the edge of the center back down 1 inch. I curve it up until I get back to nothing at the side seam, and I don't even bother to do this on the paper. I just do it when I'm cutting out my pattern. So this will be my skirt on the fold, and literally as I'm cutting for the back, I will just mark 1 inch down, and then I will just gradually curve it like this until it gets to the inch. That way, when my behind pulls up the skirt, it actually evens out and looks very straight. So I'm going to make sure I do this for this as well. Now, luckily the back is only one piece. Like I said, I'm only doing the layer on the front, so I don't need to worry about that just yet. Let's deal with the front. There is a shorter piece underneath and then the longer one on top. So I think for my shorter piece, I am going to bring the hem up about 2.5 inches is the figure I have in my mind. So that's that's what I'm gonna go with. So I'm going to draw a line 2.5 inches up, and then I will fold that back so that I can cut that underneath layer. Okay, so now I'm gonna fold on that line I just drew. So this is what my underneath layer looks like. So this is my inner skirt, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this on the fold as normal. So this is my front under layer. Next, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my back. So I kind of just draw a guideline at first, and then I will literally just let my hand and the feeling of my hand and the feeling of how it's supposed to curve just guide me naturally. So I know this is probably not even the right way to do it, but I always do this and it works just fine for me. This is, like I said, it's a cheater's way of doing a full teeth adjustment. Just a little trick if you don't want to do that whole slashing method. Of course, you could come in and smooth the curve if you find it's not looking 100, which mine surely isn't looking 100. That looks good to me. And this is my back pattern piece. Now we will make the adjustments to the front. So what I think I am going to do is I am actually going to print this again so that I have the two skirt pieces and I can join them at that fold line, because I want the slit area to be off center. Obviously I don't want a slit right down the front. I want it on top of my left leg. Okay, so I've stuck my two printouts together. As you can see, one is face up, the other one is face down. I've attached them at the fold line, and so I have one big skirt pattern piece. So next I need to decide where I want the slit to be. So I have held the pattern piece up against me, I've held the skirt that I already cut out up against me, and I was struggling to decide between 5 inches over and 6 inches over from the edge. And so we'll just go for 5.5. I'm going to take my ruler. The hemline is perfectly perpendicular to the fold line and the grain line. So that means when I draw over how much ever, it'll be very easy to get a straight line going up the leg. So since I couldn't decide between 5 and 6, I'm just going to do 5.5. So I am going to line up my pattern piece with the edge of the paper. So it's 5.5 inches over from that bottom hemline, and I am just going to draw a straight line all the way down. So that is where my split line is going to be. I am going to cut this on that straight line, and then we're going to deal with a little bit of shaping to get the split to open out a little bit more gradually as it comes down. I'm not going to do too much, because with a knit pencil skirt with negative ease, it's automatically going to open a little bit on its own. But I want it to open a little bit further so that it matches the inspiration picture. So I am going to then do a little diagonal action. But you know what? Before I get confused, I am going to label this so that I don't get confused and accidentally try to cut from the printed side. So I'm going to put left skirt front, cut right side up, cut one right side up, and this will be right front. I will also cut one right side up. So you will no longer be cutting on the fold. Just like that, the skirt is separated into two. The next thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I want to come over just a little bit on the hem and then do a kind of diagonal line. And because it's a knit skirt and because it has negative ease, I know it's going to want to open on its own, so I don't want to overdo it with the diagonals. I'm thinking just about 1 or 1.5 inches should be enough for that split. This is me just testing to see which one I prefer the look of. That's what 1.5 inches looks like. Yeah, I think I'll go with the 1.5. I'm not the type of person to come on line and do a hack to perfection and have it all planned out. That's just not who I am, and I've accepted that. I'm a wing it type of girl, and I'm a figure it out as you go type of girl. So I'm sorry if you like organization, because I just don't have that. So now I'm going to do that same 1.5 inches on the left side. So you're going from 1.5 at the hem to nothing at the waist. So you're lining it up exactly with the waist. And that is what that looks like. So when I put the two together, you can kind of have an idea of what the split is going to look like. And I think that once this opens out on its own a little bit, that will look very nice. I don't want a massive slit. I want it to be very similar to the inspiration photo. So you know what? Let me check back the inspiration photo and make sure this looks close. And if it doesn't, I will take off a little bit extra. But I think I have it. I think I have it. So I am going to cut now on the diagonal lines. We have that nice little slit that is not too wide. And next we need to figure out what's going to happen to these raw edges and also how to get some interfacing along the edge, because I will be using grommets. So I think I want my folded back piece to be about 1.5 inches. So that means then a 1.5 inch area will be interfaced, and then I'll be able to put my grommets in the center of that 1.5 inches after finishing the edge and top stitching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some 1.5 inch strips. I think the good thing about starting narrow with the slit is that if it needs to be wider, it's then easier to cut it wider. If you cut it too wide, then you can't undo that. So these are my two 1.5 inch strips that I'm going to attach to my skirt pieces. So I am going to go ahead and stick this with some tape along the edge like this. And do the same to the other side. Okay, so this is what we're looking like right now. And the next thing I am going to do is I am going to actually fold back the 1.5 inch strip. And that is going to give me the perfect angle to cut at, to make sure when it's folded back it lines up. So see how this actually looks like a really strange angle? If I had just cut that straight across, then when it's folded into the inside, it would not meet up very nicely at the edge. And repeat the next one. So I'm just going to fold it back. And again, we have a pretty weird angle at the top and another weird angle at the bottom. If I had just cut them straight across, they wouldn't line up nicely when this is turned to the inside like this. This is the entire right front piece. And what I will do is interface this 1.5 inch section. And then this is the left side that goes with it. And again, I will interface this 1.5 inch section. So that is my right front piece. I'm gonna mark the notch on the hip to make sure I don't get mixed up. That way everything matches up nicely in the end. And here I've made the classic mistake that I've been telling you all not to make. And it's a good thing I have enough fabric because I just cut this backward. It should be like this. I mean, I bet I can still use this because it's really hard to tell right side from wrong side, but I'm gonna do it properly. And now we have the actual left side of the skirt. The waistband is 7 by 16, cut on the fold for the size large, which is what I am making. And so this is my waistband, 7 by 16, cut on the folds. And the last thing I need to cut is my drawstrings. Now I have no idea what length of drawstring I need. And I know that this fabric is definitely not long enough. So this will give me about 35 inches. To make it easier, I'm going to place it on the fold. Did I do 1.5 for cadence? No, I did 2 inches so that when I fold it over, I would then stitch with the 3/8 and then trim the seam allowances. So you know what? I'll do 2 again because that was very easy to sew since it was so wide. I told y'all I am a wing it type of girl. And I hope you enjoy coming on these wing it journeys with me. Figuring out things as you go is a nice way to learn, in my opinion, because I am self-taught. So for me, it's YouTube videos and winging it. How did you learn to sew? Let me know in the comments below. Did you go to school? Did you do classes? Or did you go to YouTube University like I did? Okay, so this is 34 inches after I cut off the selvage. And we will see if this is long enough to do what I need it to do. And so I have my 2 strips of interfacing cut 1.5 inches wide. And it is definitely longer than the skirt front. You can cut it exact if you want, but what I will do is press this to the skirt edge and then trim off the excess. So this is what my skirt pieces look like with the interfacing. Now I can go ahead and trim. Remember to interface the wrong side. So right now my skirt pieces are right side up. This is my right front. This is my left front. So now what we'll do is finish the edges and then you'll fold it back along that 1.5 inches and then we will top stitch or edge stitch. So again, this is the left front. Finish the edges and then we will fold it back. And see how that lines up perfectly? And this is what it will look like from the front, and then you'll see the line up stitching. So I'm gonna do my stitching maybe 1/4 inch in. So I'll finish my edges without cutting off any. So you know how that will look. It will have the 1/4 inch serge line. And then on that same 1/4 inch, I will do top stitching or edge stitching. So then on the front, you'll have a line in about 1.25 inches. So I've just finished the edges, as you can see here. And I have pressed the 1.5 for the interface into the back. So now I can do my top stitching. And I will come back and show you what that looks like when it's finished. The thing I've done is finish all of my bottom skirt edges. So this is the right front. I also finished the left front. And this is my back skirt. and then also my front skirt. So I finished all of the bottom edges, and the next thing I am going to do is hem my inner skirt. So I'm going to do a 1-inch hem at the bottom, and then we'll come back. So this is my inner front with the hem all sewn, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my outer front and I'm going to line them up at the waist as well as the side seam. I'm going to get them pinned together. Now I'm going to add my left front, and I'm going to do the very same thing. I'm leaving my grommets until last. When I have the waistband and everything on, then I would come in and attach my grommets. I'm going to base the upper to the inner along the sides as well as the waistband, and then we'll treat it as one piece, and we'll go ahead and attach the rest of the skirt as normal. So this would be my back, and then we'll put the back on top of the front, stitch the side seams, do the 1-inch hem, and then we'll attach our waistband. This is what the skirt is looking like. The waistband is on, everything is sewn up and serged nicely. There's the inside. Here you can see where the inner skirt is attached. And so now all I need to do is mark my grommet placement, and I'm going to sew my drawstring by folding it in half, right sides together. I'm going to stitch 3/8 inch from the folded edge, and I'll trim that extra seam allowance down to about 1/8 of an inch after sewing, and then I'll turn it. I'm looking at this right now, and I don't think this drawstring is going to be enough for what I want. Now for the fun part, I marked my dots where I want my grommets to go, and these are my grommets on all my tools. I do not even have the packaging anymore, but I do have the instructions. I had these in a Ziploc bag, so I can't even like tell you which grommets or anything. I just know that they have a 3/8 inch center hole, and this is the back. This is the tool to punch the hole, and then obviously to hammer it in after. So I am going to do this off camera because I really want to concentrate, and I am actually sitting on the floor to do this. I'm still on the floor. I just finished hammering in the grommets. That was a workout. So now to thread my drawstring through, and I'm all done. If you're wondering about distance, I did the first one is 2 inches from the top, and then all the others are spread apart 2.5 inches evenly. So this is my pencil Sybil skirt again, and this time it is shortened 2 inches, and I did take the 2 inches off the hem, and that is because if I shorten it at the hip line where the lengthen and shorten line is, that means I will be bringing up the narrower edge of the skirt up closer to my hip, and because I have broad hips, I don't want that. I don't want it to be too pencil on me, especially for the style I'm going for this time. So I took the 2 inches off the hem. The next thing I did was I printed the salt whistle pattern, and I printed a few sizes so I could see which one will work best. I ended up with the extra small, and as you can see, this is not the full peplum or skirt pattern. This is just, I think it's pages 24 and 30, which is just the bare edge of the scallops, because I really didn't need to print the entire thing. So all I really need is the scallops. So what I'm going to do is line up the full line of the salt whistle with the full line of Sybil, and I'm just going to let the scallops touch the hem at the bottom. And as you can see, it is almost perfect, and I'm matching extra small scallops to size, this is extra large, large graded to extra large Sybil skirt. And because this is a knit and I also will not be hemming the scallops, I'm using scuba fabric. I don't need to worry too much about this area down here being too tight, especially because, as I said, I chopped off the narrowest part from the bottom anyway. So I'm going to tape this in place, and then I will just add in a piece of paper like this, and I will just draw a line to connect from right about this curve here to connect to the edge of the salt whistle. I'm trying to figure out if I should take off an extra inch, because it just hit me that even with my 2 inches off, the Sybil is meant to hem 1 inch. And since I won't be hemming, and I do want this to be sort of a mini skirt, I think I may go ahead and take off an extra inch. So if you are replicating this hack, you can choose whichever size of the salt whistle corresponds best to your size of the Sybil. You can also use the A-line skirt. That would look really cute as well if you want a little bit more flare, and then you'll probably just need to print a bigger size in these scallops so that it comes over a bit more and it will be shaped more like this. I think what I'll do is just fold this back instead of cutting it. That way I can still reuse my Sybil pattern. Okay, so I folded that extra bit out of the way, and this is what my new Sybil looks like with the scallops. So now we cut out as normal on the fold. I'm going to be super careful cutting out my scallops because I don't intend to hem them. So I need to make sure my points are nice and sharp. I will use my sharpest pair of scissors to get the points nice and clean. So this is my waistband, 16 by 7, cut on the fold. And then I have my back and front. And those are literally all the pieces I need for this, and I still have some fabric left. And this was only 1 yard of fabric, and I still have a good portion left, as you can see. So another 1 yard wonder. This skirt literally took half hour to sew. Like, it was just side seams, waistband, and now I'm going to use this upholstery needle to thread my serge tails up through the serge, and then I'm going to use some fridge heck, and the skirt is literally finished. So 1 yard wonder, half hour wonder.